I'm Su-Mei Thompson, I'm the CEO of the Women's Foundation, and a very warm welcome to this year's gala dinner. I think it is fantastic that we have a full house here tonight. The Olympics raised the stakes so high, we were worried that our gala might not seem exciting enough without the likes of Daniel Craig and the Queen parachuting in. And at the Women's Foundation, we love the fact that you can be a Bond girl at 86, defying age, gravity, and stereotypes. Now, I was in the UK last week, and with the opening of Skyfall, the papers were full of Daniel Craig edging out Sean Connery as the hunkiest Bond ever. Of course, at the Women's Foundation, that's the kind of sexist labeling that we typically disdain. But we are only human, and I wish I could tell you that one of our auction prizes tonight was a date with James Bond, or Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig, unfortunately, didn't return our calls. But the good news is that quintessentially have managed to conjure up the next best thing, which is a night out in London with the dashing Ben Elliott. Now, he is nephew to Camilla Parker Bowles, the Duchess of Cornwall. He is one of Will's and Kate's best mates. So in Bond fashion, get your finger on the trigger and bid for lot 56 now. And for any Daniel Craig fans out there, don't worry, because we have a special treat in store for you tonight. But anyway, coming back to tonight, we actually have a very high percentage of people in this room who've not only chosen to be here tonight, but who have been to this event in past years and come back for more. Now, those of you who've been here before will know that as well as providing a progress report on the Women's Foundation, this dinner is an opportunity for me to share with you my thoughts on where the women's movement in general is taking us. So this year, the blogosphere was ignited by the article by Anne-Marie Slaughter on why women still can't have it all. And I'm sure many of you have read that piece. And what the debate boils down to is this. Women are leaving the career track in large numbers to have children, which is why the pool of women for leadership roles is so small. You wouldn't think it from this room, of course. According to Anne-Marie Slaughter, this is inevitable because to be one of the professional elite, you need to be single-minded, obsessive, and in a constant hurry. If you accept this view of the world, then Anne-Marie Slaughter posits that there's only one solution for alpha women who want to be mums. And that is that you have to accept a beta career for a while and to be content with an interrupted career trajectory with periodic plateaus and dips when needs and impulses beyond work require this. Now, there are a couple of things I'd like to say on this. First, I worry that this article just inflames the considerable guilt that working mums already have, and that it assumes that leading a turbocharged existence, balancing work and family and everything else in between, is necessarily a bad thing. But doesn't part of the joy in life reside in crazy, unpredictable situations, like when it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're trying to get out a document despite being jet-lagged, hungover, or both, and your 3-year-old suddenly wakes up and decides to keep you company? Having 2 young daughters and running a fast-growing NGO as I do, my average day often feels like it borders on chaos. Don't tell our key donors that. But I have come to embrace the exhilaration in that chaos. And who can really say whether my daughters are harmed by this, or whether if my life were different, they would come out better or worse? Secondly, I worry what sort of message Anne-Marie Slaughter's article sends to young women. Rather than stories of angst and guilt, surely what we should be doing is talking up how fulfilling it is to have a really engaging job and giving young women permission to claim and sustain ambition to make a difference in the world. But somehow, it doesn't feel politically correct for a working woman, particularly a working mum, to talk about the deep satisfactions of working life and how fantastic it feels to be taken seriously and have influence and authority, not to mention money, without in the same breath acknowledging your mummy guilt. And I think we need to start celebrating instances of female career success without constantly qualifying them with the sacrifices that the women concerned have had to make. After all, we don't do it for men. Speaking of which, where is the dad in all of this? He seems a strangely irrelevant figure in Anne-Marie Slaughter's story. Now, I wouldn't presume to comment on the dynamics of her household, but as a general point, I really, really believe that we will not have equality in the workplace until we have greater equality at home. We need to become a society that celebrates and supports both men and women as earners and carers, and prepares boys and girls for a future shared role in caring for children. And a lot of things need to change for that to happen. At the Women's Foundation, we are absolutely dismayed that the proposal for mandatory paternity leave in Hong Kong that looks likely to be presented to LegCo next month will provide for just 3 days of paternity leave. That simply does not go far enough if we are going to remake scripted gendered roles and allow women to achieve their full potential in the workplace. So from the macro, what has been happening at the Women's Foundation? So really quickly, for those of you who don't know us or who might have forgotten, the Women's Foundation was founded in 2004, and we have 3 main goals: to combat gender stereotyping, to increase the number of women leaders, and to empower women in poverty to achieve a better quality of life for themselves and their families. And we do this through research, community programs, and education and advocacy. Now, our programs are mainly focused on the women and girls living at the bottom of the pyramid in Hong Kong: women on welfare, new arrival women from the mainland, single mothers, domestic violence victims, women of disabilities, sex workers. Our financial literacy program for marginalised women provides all of these different communities with training and counselling. At the same time, our teen program provides at-risk teens with the kind of inspirational experiences and exposure they wouldn't otherwise have. While our life skills program, which is now in 10 schools in Hong Kong's poorest districts, equips adolescent girls and boys with financial literacy, sex education, and career guidance, overlaid with hope and resilience. We also have a mentoring program for professional women, some from humble backgrounds. Those of you who were here last year may recall I talked about one of our protege applicants last year, whose mum is a security guard in a car park and whose dad cannot find work. Amy turned out to be one of the biggest stars of last year's program. She's not here tonight, but her mentor, Judy, is. Judy, where are you? Over there. Okay. Working with Judy gave Amy a huge boost. She is much more confident and professional in her demeanour and her appearance. Judy actually took her shopping and showed her how to dress well on a tight budget. And she helped Amy work on a long-term career development plan. Now, that is just one example, but I think a great example of how we are moving the needle for the women on our programs. I'm thrilled that Judy is coming back this year as a mentor again. I'm sure she's going to be in huge demand. I have had the honour now of leading the Women's Foundation since 2009. It has been so exciting to be part of the explosive momentum that has seen our organisation grow our annual operating budget by over 400%, with a corresponding increase in the number of programs and initiatives that we're involved in. I am so proud of what the team is achieving. In just 3 to 4 short years, with your funding support, our initiatives have directly benefited over 300 women in poverty, over 1,000 professional women. We've touched the lives of 3,000 disadvantaged teens. We've contributed to capacity building at over 24 local grassroots NGOs. We've published 30 columns on women and gender issues in the SCMP. We're sponsoring a daily RTHK program hosted by Crystal, and we're also very busy in the area of women on boards. Last month, we launched a seminar series to prepare executives for board roles. And on Monday, we announced a new Chairman's Outreach Initiative in partnership with the UK's 30% Club. To quote Mitt Romney, "We have binders of women who can contribute to boards given half the chance." We're also launching a Women's Leaders Series in partnership with Bloomberg, kicking off with a Women in Technology event this month. And we are really excited about our scholarship fund, which will send Hong Kong students to Cambridge. And of course, we could not do any of the above without the support of everyone here, our donors, corporate partners, supporting organisations. If I may, I'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge our dedicated and hard-working staff. Thank you. You are the best team that I have ever had the privilege of working with. And I'd also like to acknowledge our passionate and committed and fun board and advisory board members. And I would like to give a shout out in particular to our board chair, Kay McArdle, who I am constantly turning to for guidance, advice, and cups of tea. I'd also like to pay tribute to our committed steering committee and advisory council members, our wonderful volunteers, and our very talented interns. So in closing, tonight is about celebrating the progress we've made and fundraising for the journey ahead. As an NGO and registered charity, we are almost entirely reliant on private funding for our lifeblood and oxygen. Every cent counts. We really make sure it does. We work out of a tight but bright office in Shenzhen. Most of our furniture is at least secondhand, and we are proud that our non-program related overheads come to less than 10% of our overall budget. We are frugal, fiscally prudent, we're fueled by a sense of urgency and a great sense of responsibility. So please support us. Thank you again for coming. Thank you for listening. Have a great evening. Thank you.